Hi everyone, it's me, Darlene. I am sitting here because I want to explain the quilt block that I'm about to show you before I actually go to the machine and show you. Because the quilt block itself is very simple, and you might think, that's too simple, that's too plain, me no likey. And I want to give you ideas for what you could do. I have seen some quilt blocks that are have a like a 2-inch square border, or some squares, I don't know what the sizes were, but like a quilt block in the center and then some 2-inch squares all the way around. I might have done something like that similar, but not like I'm about to do, where I'm going to show you. I even have an image. If you wanted to take a bunch of squares all the same color and have sashing all the same color, it makes a very unusual kind of quilt, because what pops is the border of 2-inch squares. Let me show you right now. Okay, see what I mean? There's 2-inch squares around a square, and then there's sashing in between. And I just think it looks kind of cool. And then I got some other ideas in case you don't want something so plain and boring. Now, I showed you like yellow in the image as the main, I think, I don't even remember, the main color. And then, of course, the 2-inch squares, you want those to be scrappy. So there's like all kinds of colors going on. But my 2-inch squares that I cut out of the stash that I have for my videos, they were kind of, some of them kind of light and not really colorful. So I'm going with a black square for the center. And I'm not going to bother, putting two together with sashing and stuff, but I'm going to be able to show you like that. Then I got an idea. Obviously, you could make this all scrappy. You really could. Your squares for each block could be different. It's just that the 2-inch squares are going to blend more. You also could just have a square with the 2-inch square border, and then just join those without sashing, and that gives you another whole look. But let's say you have some panels, or even just some large print fabric that you'd like to fussy cut. You could use those as the center square, but I'm starting with 8 inches, and the 2-inch squares are going to hopefully fit. If you want to do this size, then you would either need to find squares in a panel that allow you to make them be 8 inches, or you can start with something smaller, like look at this panel, and you can cut those and then build them up to be 8 inches. For instance, let's say if you were going with black, like I would be going with black, I could cut this out on the yellow, and then I could put black, just solid black or whatever black I was using, all the way around it, and then put my 2-inch squares, and then use the black as sashing. So each square would have something fun in it. Here's another option. Now this one, it would be cool if you did all the sashing and building up of these blocks with white. I have to get these panels up. I've had these for a while. Back from when I used to do fabric unboxings. See how cool that is? Now, a lot of these panels come with, sometimes only 6 squares or 12 squares. You could do a whole quilt, like if you only had the one panel, let's say you have only 6 squares that you want to cut from a panel. You could make the other squares plain, like just all solid white, but then 6 of those squares would have an animal or a flower or whatever. So I just wanted to give you those ideas. And let's go now to the sewing machine, and I'm going to show you how easy this is. Here's the deal. For each block, you need 1 8-inch square, and you need 24 2-inch squares. This is a good pattern for those of you who have been buying and hoarding my 2-inch squares. Now, I do have repeating prints in here. I even have, like, one of them repeats 3 times. Don't worry about that. We're going to start by sending these through, let's see, not all of them 2 at a time. I think I need 4 separate. So let's send a whole bunch through 2 at a time, but keep 4 that are separate. I ran out of thread there at the very end, so I went back and fixed that. Now just snip all these little suckers apart. I saved 4 singles. Now let's just put these guys together. And I don't mind if I have the same print in one, row, one strip, I should say. I'm just not going to put them right together. I forgot to mention, because I forgot to do it, when you are putting 2 and 2 together, stop when you have 4 strips of 4. Like that. If you put them all together like I did, and I had to take them apart, you have too many strips. So you have 4 strips of 4. Let's put those aside for a second. And what you have left is 2, 2, and 4 singles. Take 2 singles and turn these 2s into 3s. Now you have 4 strips of 4, 2 strips of 3, and 2 singles. You're going to take 2 of your strips of 4 and you're going to attach a strip of 3. Now you have 2 strips with 7. Are you following along? Now take your 2 strips of 4 and turn them into 2 strips of 5. No matter how you decide to do it, I like to chain piece, but no matter how you decide to do it, you want to end up with 2 strips of 5 2-inch squares and 2 strips with 7 2-inch squares. Now we're ready to attach them to the black square. Take your 2 strips with 5 squares, and we're going to put that on either side of the center square. And if you are really good with a 1/4-inch seam, you should have it fitting. Mine is just a little bit longer. That's good, we can trim. No matter what, if it's a little short, a little long, trimming. Trimming is always allowed and highly encouraged, absolutely expected. And this is what we have. Now we are going to attach the strips of 7. And it fits! This is quite stunning, even though it's black. But see, I like black. I would love a quilt with a lot of black like that and all these pops of color around it. Let me press this. I ended up really liking this block, and I'm sitting here because my mother's aide happens to be here, and I don't record when she's here, but I really needed to get this done. So I'm just trying to be away from the loud TV and them talking. This is the block, and I have so many ideas for this. First of all, for those of you who do embroidery, I'm not familiar with how embroidery really works with machines, but you could do like ABCs. It looks like a chalkboard to me, what we used to call a blackboard. But now they call them chalkboards because at some point in time they turned green. So I like that idea. But what I did is I took a picture of this. I took several pictures, and one of them square, and I put it together on paint. And I showed you what it would look like with the black if I put them together with the sashing between, the black sashing like I liked, and then also without any sashing. So it's just, you know, 2-inch squares butt up against each other. So stick around to the end because I'm going to show you those. And again, if you don't like black, you can picture it with any color, or it wouldn't have to be a solid at all. It could be a print, but if you really want these to pop, then you could do an all-over small print, whatever. But now look, let's go back to this guy because this guy has black in it. Now just imagine if you were to cut, I'm trying to show you everything, cut some of these and put that in the center of this. You could do it just cutting out the square. I'm showing you things that are upside down. You could, you know, cut just the colorful part, like I said, and then, you know, piece it so that it would turn into an 8-inch square with black around it. Or, you know, you can use some of this border. That would even be pretty. And you wouldn't have to use black. You could use white. You can use any color you want. What I'm just saying is try sticking some squares in there if you want to. And again, it doesn't have to be for every one of them. You could have some of these squares have a square from a panel. Others could have just something tiny, a little tiny wonky tree that you made or a wonky star, whatever. It's like a frame. That's what I want to say. It's like a frame. So find stuff to put in there or not. You're allowed to leave it plain like this. This came out to almost 11 inches. Let me make sure that I'm remembering these things correctly. And I trimmed mine to 10 3/4. So, you know, if you're a little unevener than I am, you can take it down to 10 1/2. Just remember to try to take off even amounts on each side. You know what I mean? Jelly bean. And again, it's not a crime if you don't do it all evenly. But I really like it. I really do. I think some of you do too. I just think that. I think some of you don't. And I know that too. All right, this video, I have to keep stopping and starting back up. So I'm going to end now, but I don't want you to disappear. I want you to watch the little slideshow at the end. You'll see this block, and like I said, you'll see a couple of the arrangements that I did on paint using this exact block. I hope it gave you some ideas. I like the idea of thinking of it as a frame and thinking of what you want to put in there. Applique too. We can't forget about that. That would be easy. Make all your squares like this and then, you know, just put some applique there and do some stitching around the edges and all that jazz. With or without fusible, it's totally up to you. I guess I'm done. I think so. Thank you so much for watching. Stick around for the little slideshow. Please subscribe, and I'll be back with more soon. Oh, and visit me on TikTok. Link down below. Bye.